Hello, thank you for joining us this morning for our Clean Air Day 2020 How San Diego Region Employers Can Get Involved webinar. This is Barbara Ledesma, and I am a consultant to the SANDAG iCommute program. We will get started in just a couple minutes. In the meantime, let's take a quick poll while everyone logs in. So, will this be your first time participating in Clean Air Day? Please select yes or no. All right, let's see. So it looks like it will be the first time for most of y'all participating in Clean Air Day, so it's very exciting. All right. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you for deciding to spend a little part of your day with us today talking about Clean Air Day. Like I said earlier, I'm Barbara Ledesma, and I am an account executive and consultant to the SANDAG iCommute program. A bit of housekeeping before we get started. I just want to let you know that there is a box on the right-hand side of your screen for questions. Please feel free to type your questions there to save time. The questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. We will also be recording this webinar and sharing it on our website in case you would like to watch it again, share it within your organization or with friends and colleagues. All right, now here is our agenda for today's webinar. We'll be giving a brief overview of SANDAG, the iCommute program, and our Diamond Awards program. Then we will have Brian Sheridan, Development Director at the Coalition for Clean Air, tell us about Clean Air Day and the ways your organization can get involved. Next, I will share with you the toolkit of resources you can use for Clean Air Day with your employees. I will talk about the Clean Air Day Corporate Challenge, our October 1st webinar for the public, and details about the Clean Air Day social media contest. And like I said earlier, we will be having a Q&A at the end to talk through all of your questions. So let's do another quick poll to see what toolkit items are most effective at engaging your employees. Do they engage with newsletters and emails, a customizable flyer, intranet sites, or internal social media? All right. It seems like newsletter and emails are the most popular, followed by social media. Internet and customizable flyers are also really fun and really good way to get creative with it. But it seems like newsletter and emails and internal social media is the way to go for now. Okay. So about SANDAG. Now I'd like to share with you about SANDAG and the iCommute program. SANDAG, or San Diego Association of Governments, is the region's long-term planning agency made up of representatives from all 18 cities and the county. SANDAG is responsible for creating the long-term vision for the San Diego region and helps answer questions like, what do we want our region to look like in the future? Where will we live? How will we get around? How can we grow in a way that fuels our economy, preserves our environment, and takes everyone's needs into account, and still maintains our quality of life? iCommute is a transportation demand management program at SANDAG. iCommute encourages the use of transportation alternatives to help reduce traffic congestion and greenhouse gas emissions. We assist commuters with transit solutions, a subsidized van pool program, information about teleworking, regional support for biking, the Guaranteed Ride Home program, and many others. We provide assistance to local businesses by helping them develop and implement customized employee commute programs that lower costs, improve productivity, and help the environment. The Diamond Awards. The Diamond Awards program recognizes employers that promote sustainable transportation options. The program is based on a points system. For example, employers can earn valuable Diamond Award points for workplace features and policies that support alternative commute choices, such as teleworking, bike racks, dedicated carpool parking, subsidies, and other incentive programs. Points can also be earned by regularly encouraging sustainable commute choices by hosting events, virtual or in person, sending newsletters, or participating in iCommute promotions. Employers can earn additional points by increasing the number of employees who choose alternative commutes. You are all eligible for earning a point for attending today's webinar. All right, one more poll before we get started with our Clean Air Day presentation. Transportation is the single biggest source of air pollution in California. How will you reduce your footprint? Are you going to be taking public transit instead of driving solo? Or are you going to go electric and prevent tailpipe emissions? Continue work from home and attend meetings remotely? Bring your lunch to school or work instead of driving? Or are you going to bike to work or school? Select all that apply. You may be wanting to really reduce your footprint and take a multiple of options. It seems like most of us are going to be working from home and attending meetings remotely and bringing our lunch to work or school instead of driving. You know, those little trips in the middle of the day can sometimes add up. So it's really good that we're all thinking about that and working on reducing our carbon footprint. So now I'd like to welcome Brian Sheridan, Development Director at the Coalition for Clean Air, the organization behind California Clean Air Day. Brian is here to tell us today about California Clean Air Day happening on October 7th.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for having me. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I am thrilled to be here. I want to thank the SANDAG iCommute team who not only have invited me to talk at this webinar, but have been participating on our regional working group, which is great. But for those of you who don't know, California Clean Air Day is now going into our third year. And, you know, I'm going to go back one. It's been a really great ride, and every year it gets a little bigger. It's what you see in this picture is the Los Angeles Kings partnered up with a local nonprofit group to do a tree planting in a disadvantaged community in South Los Angeles. And, you know, while, you know, volunteer events and other types of events will look very different in 2020, one of the really cool things about Clean Air Day is we can build community in a socially distant way. But there's some really good reasons why we have California Clean Air Day. I know for many of you, it may be a surprise, but San Diego actually has the 6th worst ozone in the entire country. And you know that San Diego is not alone. And even when there's not wildfires going on, and there's a wildfire in my backyard here in the San Gabriel Valley, and I know there's one to the east of San Diego, you know, even when there's not these massive wildfires, we do have some real air pollution challenges. But the cool thing is that when we all work together, we can actually make a remarkable impact. But as this slide indicates, you know, 7 of the top 10 cities for the worst air pollution in the country are here in California. And that has some real consequences. It leads to 1 million preventable school-based absences. And, you know, Californians are 4 times as likely to suffer from health effects due to air pollution. But this is not about bumming all of you out about it. It's about the good news about we can do something about it. And so, you know, we will go into our 3rd annual California Clean Air Day. And for the 15% of you that I saw in the poll had participated, thank you so much for that. We hope to continuously expand and, you know, come together again to celebrate. And, you know, in the past couple of years, it's been a real great opportunity to engage. And I'll talk about some of the ways that you can do that with your employees, but it's also a really good public facing way to make big announcements or to highlight things that you're working on. You know, looking at a couple of the examples here, you know, on the left, a couple of nonprofit groups had done a, you know, Thank a Transit Rider program where they gave out tap cards, which by the way doesn't happen often enough as a transit rider myself, to, you know, Mayor Eric Garcetti in Los Angeles unveiling the first zero emission crane to this adorable program at an elementary school in Sacramento, to Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf using this as an opportunity to highlight investments in bike lanes with a bike ride. So lots of different ways. That's just a small subset of what happens on the more public-facing end, but it all centers around a pledge. And so, there's an interplay that we'll talk about in a second between an individual pledge and an organizational pledge. From the individual standpoint, what we try to do is get people to go to the website and commit to super low barrier to entry activities that we think they are likely to take action on. And what we found is that when people go to our website and they actually click on each of the buttons and say, oh, I can do, I can bike to the store on one day instead of driving to the store, or I can plant a tree, or whatever choice they may take, that when they do that 97% of them said they actually fulfilled their obligations. So it's a really powerful way of getting people to act. And so there's 3 broad categories with a couple of different thoughts in mind. We ask people to plant something, reduce vehicle emissions, and to switch things out. So in that last category, now is a really apt time, right? So a lot of people think it's really hard to clean your air filter in your home, or they don't even think about it. So here we've given them an opportunity to say, hey, have you thought about this? Did you know your car has a cabin air filter that actually, when it's properly maintained, can reduce emissions coming into the vehicle by 90% in terms of particulate matter? But really the way that we get to our big numbers in terms of participation is through all of you. We had 316 companies companies, nonprofits, government agencies participate last year. We're already exceeded that. And there are a number of ways our organizational partners sign up or commit to actions. One is by engaging their employees, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But another one is to change their business practices. So, for a lot of companies, believe it or not, they don't have a sustainability plan. So, they can commit to a sustainability plan, or they don't have electric vehicle chargers. They can commit to that. They can also commit to doing things externally, and we'll show some examples of that as well. But the cool thing about Clean Air Day is that we do not completely try to control the message. So we recognize that every organization contributes to air pollution and can do something about it. And so we ask you if you'd like to, tell us what else you're going to do. When you go to the forum, you have some suggestions. Tell us what else you're going to do for Clean Air Day. Every solution is welcome. And by taking this approach, we've been able to reach a whole lot of folks. Last year, we estimate 650,000 people across the state took action for Clean Air Day. It's obvious it's up quite a bit from our first year proof of concept. And everything today, as I'm sure all of you are aware, revolves around social media. So we had 950,000 social media impressions. The official hashtag is Clean Air Day CA, and the accidental one is Clean Air Day, which is fine. But of course, we recognize the importance of our local elected officials in making this a success. And so last year we had 51 mayors take part in a mayor's council. This year we have a city leaders challenge, and people are signing up. I think for our folks at SANDAG, this probably has a special importance. And then our statewide agencies got involved. So you may have noticed as you were driving last year that 8.74 million, you may have seen the Caltrans signs that encouraged you to basically get out of your car. And we don't just do this because it's a feel-good exercise as a feel-good exercise. It's really, we want action. And so we had 1.25 million actions taken to clear the air. And in San Diego, where transit was free last year, unfortunately they can't commit this year, they had 100,000 extra transit riders. And 90 events took place across the state. And as I mentioned, a whole lot of companies and agencies took part. But when you go to cleanairday.org, and if you're not there already, feel free to do so, you're going to see a really big blue button. It says take the pledge. That's where everything sort of starts. And when you do that, you come to this page. And for most of you, you are going to want to focus on the thing to the right. Although I would point out that the kids pledge is a new thing this year that we added after some feedback from teachers and others. But for the majority of you on this call, you're going to start with the organizational pledge. And it's going to ask you some prescriptive things about, how many employees do you have? How many people do you think you can engage? Don't worry, it's not a test. We're not going to hold you to anything. It's really for our understanding. But the one thing I do want everybody to pay attention to when they're on that page is at the bottom, it's going to ask you for a pledge link, and you can see it right here. And what you're looking at is the back end. So once you sign up, you actually have access to log in at any time. It's going to ask you what you'd like for your password, all that standard stuff. But this pledge link right here is something that you will want to share with your employees or stakeholders or customers, depending on how you want to use that. And so using the Coalition for Clean Air as an example, if I wanted to share this with my colleagues, and I said, hey, everybody, I'm thrilled that I've signed us up for Clean Air Day. Please click on this link and join me in taking personal actions. I'm going to want that to say something that this little URL here, CCA, so that if they share it out, it makes sense. And for example, if I owned, Marty's Donuts, I'd want to choose for my URL probably Marty's Donuts. And I mention all of this because I think a lot of people miss it, and it's an important way. It's just an additional branding as well for all of you. And so as I think about outreach to my employees, I think about what it is that my company does and how that might look. For a lot of us, maybe some of you can relate on this webinar, we get a lot of messages that are very press release, that are very informational, but not often enough do we get something that invites us to join our employer in taking action. And so I use this as an example to say, if you're already invested in air pollution your reductions, here's something that you might consider sending out. Dear Brian, as you know, and I'll say SDG&E, for example. As you know, SDG&E is a huge part of the climate and clean air solution in California. That's why we've invested heavily in electrification of our transportation infrastructure. We also know that we can all do more, and that's why we're inviting all of you to join us in taking the Clean Air Pledge. Click here and take action. And that's a great way, especially if to reach those employees that this is not in their wheelhouse. They have nothing to do with it, but that for them, this low barrier to action, it's like, oh, okay, I think I can do that. And you don't have to be in the business of climate or air quality. If you have nothing to do with it, that's great too. If you make pens, we love people who make pens. And so I would broaden that message to say, believe it or not, San Diego has the 6th worst air quality in the nation. That's why we've signed the Clean Air Pledge and why we're encouraging all of you to join us. So it's still in that same vein, but you can sort of broaden it a little bit. And you can sort of mention some of the things as you see in the next chapter, paragraph, from changing your air filter in your home to planting a tree to biking. There are things that all of us can do. And so when you guys do this, I'm really thrilled to say that I can give you back some really valuable, I hope, information that you can use in your planning. So using Southern California Gas Company as an example, last year they really pushed their employees to sign up. And when they did, they got a report back as such. In this example, 732 employees took the pledge. The majority pledged to reduce vehicle emissions, but most people did all 3 categories. And so that's your broad snapshot. But as they got a little bit more granular, you can see that in this case, a lot of folks at SoCal Gas were really interested in they sort of, when they thought about it, they're like, oh, I can bring a home indoor plant into the office. And so if I'm in charge of CSR or volunteerism or employee engagement, I might think about, okay, how do I use this? Maybe the next time I do a volunteer outing, I say, okay, everybody who comes gets a house plant or something. There are lots of ways to, of course, interpret this data. And that includes, a lot of information on, reducing vehicle emissions. I know that telecommuting is a little bit tongue-in-cheek this year, but of course we can continue telecommuting into ways that people hadn't thought about as well. And again, this category, I think it's important, we switched the pledge up on the individual side so that people would see this category first, because we think it's so important given what's going on with COVID and other things, that people are aware of ways to protect their health. But again, you can see in this example, a lot of people challenged themselves, committed themselves to change their air filter, which is really important, because I think for a lot of people, they think they have to have some sort of special skill to do that. And we try to give you guys a little demographic information when you do this as well. And this is particularly valuable, I think, if you're doing something on the external engagement. But in SoCal Gas's example, you had a lot of, obviously, people from Los Angeles. And as I mentioned, you can get creative in the ways that you engage. Lime was our #1 participant in terms of external engagement. And so what they did is they gave folks the opportunity to unlock free Lime rides if they use the code that we gave them. And so they got back this report as well. But you can use it with your customers, whoever you may have. It's your tool to use, and we're just thrilled to have people engaged and joining us in this effort. And of course, California Clean Air Day would not be made possible if it weren't for our generous sponsors, so I have to mention that, as well as other funders who have provided information. But again, please take a look at the website at cleanairday.org. We have, in our efforts of increasing inclusivity and diversity, we've added Spanish sections. We will soon be adding a Chinese section as well. And then we wanted to make it as easy as possible for you. So you'll notice that there are a number of resource pages, and my information will be up at the end if you have any questions. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brian. I know we're all really looking forward to putting some of the ideas to work on Clean Air Day. So let's do a quick poll to see how well we were all listening to Brian's presentation. How many of the most ozone polluted US cities are in California? Is it 1, 2, or 3, 4 or 5, 6 or 7? All right, it looks like most of y'all selected 6 or 7, and that's the correct answer. It's very surprising that in one state we have so many ozone polluted cities in California, which is why Clean Air Day is so important for all of us here. So I will be talking about the Clean Air Day Employer Toolkit. iCommute and the Coalition for Clean Air Day created this toolkit for employers to use to help encourage employees to get involved. The e-toolkit includes a proclamation to show your support for alternative commute choices and declare October 7th as Clean Air Day, a newsletter article you can post on your website, intranet, or include it in an upcoming newsletter, and several digital graphics to post on your website, social media, intranet, or e-newsletter. We also have a PowerPoint slide you can insert into employee presentations or post on a digital screen or monitor at your office, a fillable flyer for you to customize, print, and post around the office or email to employees. When you do this, be sure to include your unique pledge URL in it. We also have a social media cover photo and a social media post so you can engage your employees and followers leading up to Clean Air Day. Just a reminder that when you make your pledge, your organization will receive a unique URL. Be sure to insert that URL in any of your promotional materials so your employees' pledges will count towards your organization's overall pledge totals. Speaking about pledge totals, the iCommute is hosting a competition for San Diego region employers to see which companies can drum up the most employee pledges for Clean Air Day. We will have a leaderboard on iCommute's website, and the top companies in each size category with the highest number of employee pledges will receive recognition in a print ad in the San Diego Business Journal, on iCommute social media, on the iCommute website, and in iCommute's monthly newsletter. We will post a full leaderboard list on our website starting September 23rd, so you can see how your organization is doing compared to others in your size category. We will also be having social media sweepstakes. Keep an eye out for iCommute's Facebook sweepstakes, where commuters can share their photo or pledge story about how they participated in Clean Air Day for a chance to win a $500 gift card to Cal Coast Bicycles. SANDAG iCommute will be hosting another Clean Air Day webinar aimed for the public on Thursday, October 1st at 11 a.m. called How to Reduce Your Commute Impact on Clean Air Day and Beyond. The focus of this webinar will be to show commuters how they can be a part of efforts towards cleaner air. Guest hosts from our transit partners, MTS and NCTD, will present, as well as presenters from the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District and the Coalition for Clean Air Day. We'll share more information on commuter impacts and specific actions commuters can take to improve the air quality in San Diego. We encourage you all to support your employees in registering and attending this webinar. A couple upcoming events I'd like to tell you about. We will be having the fiscal year 2020 SANDAG Diamond Awards virtual presentation on Thursday, September 17. You still have time to register, so be sure to check out our website for that. Another resource iCommute will soon be providing is a telework training series. This training will overview how to turn your company's temporary telework adaptation into a long-term telework remote work policy and program. Topics will include necessary infrastructure, best practices, and helpful information on how to manage and lead a remote team of teleworkers. We also have Cycle September going on right now with the San Diego County Bicycle Coalition. They have different challenges going on every week this month, so be sure to check out our website, iCommuteSD.com, for more details on these events and all the events we have going on this month. All right, so it looks like we still have a little bit of time to take some questions. If you haven't entered your question yet, please do so on the right-hand side of your screen. Rachel Forsyth, and another iCommute account executive and consultant to SANDAG, is here to help us moderate your questions. We
Great,
also have
thanks.
Brian Sheridan joining us again.
Thanks, Barbara and Brian. I'll just go ahead and kick it off, and folks listening, just pop your questions into the chat box and we'll get to them in the order they came in. First question, are there co-branding materials for businesses to promote Clean Air Day? Great question. As Barbara mentioned, with the Toolkit, there is a couple of customizable flyers and PowerPoints, which you can plug your company logo into. You can play around with it. So there's a PDF file that's customizable and then a PowerPoint. And if you want to get creative with us, get in touch and we can help you with that as well.
Those resources are available for download on our website, iCommuteSD.com.
Yes, iCommuteSD.com/Clean Air Day. You'll see the e-toolkit on the left-hand side. It's a zip file. And if you have any issues, again, just email one of us and we can send it to you directly. If a business were to promote this to their customers, how would this work? Assume that means to your customers instead of to employees. And I think it could work just the same as promoting to general employees and folks that are commuting. So they could take the pledge. You could encourage or incentivize them to make a change in their life, either via email marketing or however you typically communicate with them. But you have complete creative freedom to do that. Anything you want to add, Brian or Barbara, to that question?
Yeah, so if you guys need anything, if you need multiple links or anything like that that's sort of out of the ordinary, please let us know. We're happy to work with you. But what Rachel said is correct. You know, you'll be able to find graphics and easy plug and play social media posts at cleanairday.org under the resources. And if you end up doing something particularly interesting, so you'll notice there are a couple of different places where companies get recognized. So first off, they get recognized on the About side. So you see every single organization that signed up. It's an automatic thing. So once you guys signed up, bam, your name is on there. This year, we asked for social media handles because right now we are doing shout outs to our participating organizations on social media. And that's across different things. And we just added Snapchat. I don't know Snapchat, but you know, there's lots of opportunities for co-promotion. And like I said, we have a scrolling bar on the front of the website. So if you are doing something particularly interesting that, you know, does not fit the bill, the typical bill, let us know. And, you know, maybe we can fit you in there.
Excellent. Thanks, Brian. Next question. For the sweepstakes, can we offer a free service to businesses who are participating? For example, I'd offer a marketing service of a free eco-conscious marketing audit. Please let me know. We'll follow up with you on that, Erica. However, I think it's for the greater good. If you want to promote this or incentivize this in your own way, your own channels, you have complete freedom to do so. You can be an ambassador for Clean Air Day in whatever way you want. Good question. Question from Howard. What are best practices or tips to get agencies and organizations involved? I'm going to tee that one over to you, Brian.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think our organizational partners participated in different ways. There are a couple of tactics. You know, you look at sort of who did the best in terms of, let's say, employee engagement. And I know your question was a little bit specific about agencies, but I think that this is true whether they are agencies or private companies, in that, you know, when the leadership takes an active role, that you have a lot more engagement. That's one. And then when you have a team made up of folks from different departments, that's huge. That really helps to, and it doesn't have to be an onerous experience. You just meet a couple of times. But what you want is, you know, if you had for example, someone from human resources and somebody with maybe a sustainability hat, and maybe if you have a transit demand management program, you know, the three of them coming together, well, that is a really powerful combination for getting folks involved. You know, the great thing about Clean Air Day is that we recognize, you know, you are coming from whatever place you're coming from. So we're really popular, you know, for agencies that just didn't have a lot of bandwidth or whatnot. You know, we love resolutions. You know, you can start small and sort of work your way up, but you know, it's really up to you, and we try to put as many resources together with iCommute has done some really great stuff to help you guys be successful.
Great. And I'd say with any, you know, public agency or government department, just talk to their comms people, see what works well, see what they're looking to try, and this could be an opportunity to pilot some new kind of marketing or challenge within. I have a suggestion for something to add to the e-toolkit that would be useful in getting the word out to our employees. Who should I contact with this request? If you want to add suggestions to the toolkit, we're all ears. And if you're okay with us maybe including it in what goes out to other employers, we'll take a look for sure. So go ahead and email us directly, iCommute@sandag.org, or Barbara or myself can take a look at what you've got to suggest and work with you on that. Next question, how do we check to see how many of our employees have pledged? Probably a good question for Brian as well.
So when you sign up, you will be asked for a username and password, and that is, you just log in anytime, and it updates real time on the back end.
Real time, awesome.
Oh, let me just point out something that might be important that I actually forgot. It's actually very important, I think. So this year we added a opt-in button for employees. In years past, we did not want to have, there's sort of a big brother effect, and again, in that spirit of low barrier to entry. So if you're doing a contest or something like that with your employees, just you might want to just add a line of please check the button to opt in. And what that'll do is it'll automatically provide a list for you on the back end that says, hey, these are the employees that have signed up. So just a small note in terms of your communications if you guys want to get that.
Thanks, Brian. Next question, will there be just one employer in each category in the ad, or will all participating employers be included? I think referring to the San Diego Business Journal ad. And the answer is the leaderboard will be published with just the top employer in each size category. However, at the end, we'll publish a full list of all the participants on our website and other channels as well. So you'll be recognized for pledging at all, and then the top employers in each category will be called out. Next question, our employees are already teleworking. Are there other efforts we should include to our employees to focus their efforts on? Absolutely still encourage them to take the pledge. The more momentum, the better, and who knows how long telework will go on, but for now it's a good thing to be intentional and to quantify. And of course, there are other ways they can reduce vehicle emissions as discussed. So, you know, take the pledge anyways, and it's a good place to start. That is it for now. Last shot for other questions if anyone's.
And Rachel, while you wait for that to come in, I will just say, you know, on that notion of, hey, we're already telecommuting. So something really interesting happened in California in March. So right after the mass quarantine order, we had massive reductions in air pollution. And that, you know, that there are a lot of factors that go into that, you know, one of which is, you know, just we had good weather. But it was also, you know, everybody staying at home. So in the preceding months, people have begun to, of course, drive more and more and go back to their old habits. And that includes a lot of folks who, you know, are telecommuting. And so what we've noticed is that people are actually driving a lot more on these short distances. So one of the things you can really encourage people to take is, you know, especially since what you're asking is one day, right? And with the hope, of course, that this changes their mindset. But, you know, on that one day, instead of, you know, driving to the grocery store, try biking. Instead of, you know, driving your kid to soccer practice, maybe you guys can, you know, walk or whatever. You know, I think there are plenty of opportunities to engage in those sort of habitual activities that we all do.
And one point you mentioned earlier, a lot of us are spending more time at home. Maybe we need to check our AC air filters or see what can be updated in our systems at home to have better clean air.
Check your car filters too. Great.
Don't take your car anywhere though.
Well, with that, I think we'll wrap it. Of course, our info's up, so get in touch if you have other questions. It's awesome to see a lot of familiar names and new ones too. Haven't seen anyone in person for way too long, but hopefully that time returns. And we really appreciate all of you guys out there joining us with this kind of new campaign for iCommute, and we're excited to partner with you and see how it goes.
And thanks for having me on, guys. I look forward to celebrating with all of you in October.